Tampa Bay Spirits presents Haunted Campfire Tales Live. Welcome. Gather around the fire. Get comfortable, but not too comfortable. The true ghost tales are about to unfold.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan.
And I'm Joy.
I'm Les.
I'm Beth.
I'm Jess.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Haunted Campfire Tales. We're so glad that you're here. And we have a really cool ghost story for you today, sent in by someone who works with Jess. Right, Jess?
With my husband, yeah.
Well, with your husband. But you both work at the same place, so.
We do, yeah.
No. You have a comment. Marjorie. And I'm Marjorie. Hello, Marjorie.
Hello.
We're so glad that you're here, Marjorie, because believe me, I wasn't kidding last night when I said the recap of May Stringer is crazy. Yeah, I mean, we just listened to some of the things that we had. We have some of the investigation, and it's crazy.
Okay, so you have a story to share, right?
I do. Yep, I do have a story to share. And so I've gotten permission. And if you have a story, if you are listening or watching and you have a story that you want to share, please email us and we will be happy to share it. And we can share it anonymously if you want. But we love to hear your stories. So this is a great story. I'm really excited to share today. This is from Stephanie, and I was given permission to use her name. She says, I had a ghost friend when I was a child who I would play with. I would tell my family for years I could see him. I would speak to him, and I would play games while he watched. My family would ask me questions and were shocked to find out that this little boy was always the same age. No matter how old I got, he stayed the same. They would ask me over the years what he looked like, and his description, including clothes, was always the same. One day, my mom asked if my ghost friend wanted to go to the store with us, and I let her know he couldn't leave and that he slept in the basement.
Oh.
I know. He just came to the first floor to play with me. The point where my family knew he was a ghost was when my cousin came over. She's 9 years younger than I am, and she began speaking to someone. At this point, I no longer saw him, and it didn't occur to me that it could be the same spirit. My grandma began asking her questions about his name, appearance, and age, and it all matched up to the ghost I saw in the house years earlier. The final piece for us all was when she said he lived in the basement and was just on the first floor to see her. He was always friendly, and we both have fond memories of him. And of course, so that's the end of her story. And of course, I had to ask more because I wanted more details. So I asked if she could remember more details about him and what he looked like. And she said yes, that he was about 8 years old. He had dark hair and old clothes, like he was trying to dress his best. She said he had nice pants and shirt and a little old times cap. He had dark eyes and pale skin, and she called him Husky. She said he was also just so friendly. More than anything, I always felt like he was lonely and was just looking for a friend to play with, which just, I mean, gut-wrenching. which is why I would play something and he would watch and we would talk about the game. So that is our first really write-in story, or maybe our second write-in story. And I just love it. Yeah, I love it so much. I think it's so cool. To me, it was so cool that there was that corroboration from her younger cousin years later, you know, without talking about it. And she was able to corroborate and confirm things and validate things for her without her even looking for that, you know?
Did anybody ever try to see if there was any history in the house of the boy?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know.
Stephanie, right? This might be Stephanie. It says Facebook user, hi everyone. So because of the way Facebook is, whoever you are, you have to give StreamYard permission to use your name. But if you'll just tell us who you are, then we'll know. If this is you, Stephanie, then maybe you can answer that question. Oh, no, it's Joe.
Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. It's Joe Conchal, right? What other Joe? Yeah. Well, it would be good to find that out, but I mean, it just breaks. Yeah.
Oh, there's Stephanie.
Marjorie Deering says that's so sad.
It is so sad.
It is.
And it's really sad.
It's sweet, you know.
Hi, Stephanie. Did anybody ever do any looking into the history of your home to see if a little boy had died there and what his name was?
She says, we never looked into the history. We just continued to love him and talk to him and put out play settings for him. Oh my gosh, how sweet.
That's so sweet.
I love that.
I can't. That's the thing. And I think probably all of us feel the same way with dealing with kids. It's really hard.
Yeah.
You don't want them living in a basement.
No.
You know, when we were at Haunted Hill House, that one little boy was saying it's dark and cold. Remember when Beth was doing the Estes method? And he had been stuffed into a well. So that was hard to hear. It's like, please don't stay there. Please move on.
Right.
That's what you want to say. Yeah. Okay. Marjorie Deering said she goofed. She said, sorry, I started to ask why adults are less likely to see spirits like this. Is it a matter of less ability as we age or a kind of purposeful resistance? Well, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think you've been taught that it's not real. And so you shut yourself down. But as you get older, you can open yourself up again. And then you're able to see and hear a lot better. And it takes some practice and it takes persistence, but you can. Or you can have a Reiki master like Beth just help you open up.
There you go.
Or tell you you're open enough.
That happens. As in, no, Joan, we don't want you to be any more open. Who knows what will happen?
Well, I love that Stephanie's mom was like, okay, I'm gonna go along with this with my kid, and she's got this imaginary friend, and it's like, okay, then bring him to the store. We're going to the store. She was like, nope, he can't leave. I'm like, oh my gosh, her mom must have. Stephanie, I don't know what your mom thought, but if it were me and my kid, I would have been like, oh my gosh.
Well, Patricia had a ghost friend, Mr. Ghost. Do you remember? Oh, you probably don't remember because you were born many years after she was born. Patricia had a ghost friend.
Hearing about it.
Yeah, I thought maybe she remembered hearing about it. But our daughter Patricia had a ghost friend. He dressed in a white top hat and a white coat, white suit. And she said his name was Mr. Ghost. And she was constantly talking to him. she'd be sitting on the steps and she'd be chatting away and she'd be like, oh, I'm talking to Mr. Ghost. And years later, I don't know if any of you ever watched the Ghost Hunters, but Grant said at that time when Trish was seeing him, that children all around the United States were seeing the same person
Really?
that identified as Mr. Ghost with a white top hat, wearing a white suit. And that's what got him to start investigating
Wow.
back in the early 80s. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stephanie says, Mom was like, of course we have a ghost and not just an imaginary friend. LOL.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think I'm happy that he had found friends, found company and was welcomed.
But still, we'd rather have him move on
Yeah.
Yeah.
rather than being stuck in the basement.
Boy, that's for sure.
Poor
So
little guy.
the weekend before Thanksgiving, our team had the privilege to go and investigate at May Stringer House Museum in Brooksville, Florida. And it was quite a fun night, right?
I had a great time. What about you guys?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No,
It was a lot of, it was seriously a fun investigation.
It was.
We spent a lot of time laughing.
A lot of
There's some pretty funny ghosts there, let me tell you.
Yeah, we made a ghost friend that night.
We did. Tell them what we should set this up. Jesse was doing the Estes method, which is, well, Marjorie, as you say, why is Beth wearing the purple training bar? So Jesse was doing like sensory deprivation, a type of it where she had on a blindfold and she had on noise canceling ear headphones and was listening to white noise. And we were talking to any spirits who would be there. We were sitting in this completely black attic at the top of the house. And he would answer through Jesse. And the answers that we got were so wild. We couldn't believe it. And Rob and I re-listened to the recordings again today. And we were like, this is nuts. The way that he answered through Jesse so quickly. But Beth, kind of tell them what you asked and what he said.
Oh, I asked at one point, this was my third or fourth time to be at this house. And one of the times that I had been there, I had gotten scratched. And it's the only time I've been scratched on an investigation. So I asked him and said, the last time I was here, I was scratched. And immediately he answered through Jesse, that was the cat. So when speaking to the docents later in the evening, they said, yes, there definitely is a ghost cat that's on the premises too. So,
which we didn't know.
We didn't know that.
No. And I thought he was making up an excuse. Because he goes, oh, that was a cat, So Joe says, so a ghost cat scratched you?
Apparently.
Jesse,
It felt like a real cat scratch, actually.
Beth said that. She said it felt like a cat scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. That's what's crazy.
Jesse,
Joe says that's wild.
Do you think that that wind that you felt going past you could have been the cat coming in to the room?
Well, yeah. So another time during the same session, like I was sitting in this attic, and what year was that house built? Do you know, Beth?
Oh, I forget. I did know.
18 something.
40?
The 1800s.
It was the 1800s.
So it's an old house, and we were up in the attic, and we had turned off the lights up there, so we could see our. You don't have to investigate in the dark, but I had wanted to do it because it's easier to see our instruments and stuff like that, or it is for me. And they were going to do the flashlight method while I was doing the Estes method. So I had a blindfold on and I had the headphones on, and I couldn't see or hear anything but what was happening in my headphones. And I was sitting with my legs crossed on the floor, like in like the doorway, kind of like just in front of the doorway. And the entire rest of our team was all in the attic, deeper in the attic, sitting in different locations, and they were asking questions and stuff. And so as I was sitting there, I at one point felt what felt like when a person walks by you and there's a breeze, like if they walk by you quickly, and it feels like the air is disturbed around where you're sitting. And I felt it on my right side. And then the floor, if you've ever been on like a bouncy, kind of a floor that gives a little bit, if someone is like standing and kind of bouncing next to you, it bounces the floors, or they're walking with heavy footsteps next to you. But this was like, I felt like I was bouncing like this, and it made me, because I had the headphones on and the blindfold on, it made me feel like I was falling. And so I felt bad because I kind of let out a yelp. I went, whoa. And I started to laugh because I realized right away I was fine. But I thought somebody from my team was walking by, maybe like they had to get up and go out of the attic to get something, or were investigating behind me or something. And they were not. They were all seated.
There's a couple of questions here. Marjorie Daring said, it's sad to think that some animals become earthbound like people. Have any of you ever helped an animal leave this plane? We have. We had a Chihuahua, and a lot of our kids, who were all adults at the time, would come into the house and hear him and see him after he was dead. And our veterinarian was a friend of ours, and he had this Chihuahua's urn with his remains in them, and I had never gone to pick him up. And so then Bruce brought the urn one day and said, "Here." And as soon as he did that, Tito left. We never saw him again. So that we sort of helped him, but I think he was waiting for us to get his ashes, and then he left. So that was pretty funny. I don't know. Has anybody else helped an animal leave, or no?
Nope.
No.
Now here's Joe. It's Joe. Speaking of ghost animals, sometimes I think the ghost of a dog we had previously is living in the body of my current dog. Is that possible, or am I seeing things that aren't there? I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a good question.
That is a good question, because I feel like my cat, before we got our cat, I was very much a dog person. And I used to have a big French Mastiff named Linus that was my baby, and I loved him very, very much. And he passed away when my son was about 2 months old from a tumor that he had that we couldn't help him, and I did not want to get a cat, but my kids and my husband wanted to. And so I was like, all right, but I really hope that this cat is like, I called it a Linus cat because I love my dog Linus so much. I wanted that same kind of personality. And we talk about still all the time that our cat is a Linus cat. Like my husband will be like, well, you got what you asked for, you got what you wanted. She's a Linus cat, and she's very funny. And so I don't know if that's just like the vibe we got or attracted to us, or um, if there's something to that, or if I'm just seeing that because I loved Linus so much and I love this cat so much. And, you're
The
finding
same
the
way Joe's saying, maybe he's just,
exactly.
yeah, I
Maybe
get
I'm just seeing the similarities and the commonalities of what I loved so much about Linus there,
But what I will say about Linus is that after he passed, he was around for a long time. When Dad and I would come and visit you, we would hear his chain clinking on the ground. We
His
would
collar.
see his collar. Yeah, his collar. He had he was a huge mastiff. He had a big chain collar.
Oh, he
And
had a leather collar.
he had a leather
But it
collar,
had a buckle. Yeah.
and it would clink everywhere. And then we would see his nose print on the slider, and we would see he was a mastiff, and he drooled, and you'd see the drool marks on the slider. I mean, that was crazy, but we saw that.
Now,
Yeah.
during the time in the attic, during the Estes method that you were doing, Jesse, you mentioned Linus. Do you think
No.
Linus showed up there too? Because it's the same time of year, right?
It is the same time of
It
year
is.
since he passed away.
It was just
Wow,
before.
I didn't even think about that. It was
It's the
like the
day before
same
Thanksgiving.
week. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know, but Linus came through, and I mean, you can probably hear it on the recording. I went, Linus, like, as I heard Linus. I mean, that, I don't know. I don't know if that was,
Well, speaking of that, something else very strange that involved our family was that I said, "Can you see us?" Which is something I always ask entities when we're conversing with them. I want to know, can you see us? Because we can't see you. I'm just wondering, can you see us? And he said through Jesse, "I know what you look like and your daughter." So he knew Jesse was my daughter. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then he said, and that's your dad. So he knew that I was her mom and that Rob was her dad. And then he'd already mentioned Linus, and he'd already mentioned our son. He called out our son's name, Sean. So I don't know what was on there, but it was crazy.
He also said that there were 7 of us in the attic, and there were 7.
yeah. Huh.
And you felt it getting very cold at one point, right? And I think that might have been him using energy. Another thing that happened, this has never, ever happened to us before in any of our investigations. And I mean, we've been doing this a long time. I mean, we were, not to weird you all out, but we were demonologists for 18 years. So we were dealing with spirit for a really long time. And this has never happened. The room, we were sitting in this very dark attic that our eyes had gotten used to, and it was really black in there, wasn't it, guys? Well, you don't know, Jesse, you had a blindfold on, but right?
It was before I put the blindfold on, but
Totally black. Our eyes had gotten used to it. And Kathy, one of our team members, was sitting way on one end, and then Dan, another one, was on the other end. And when it was really, really dark in there, I couldn't make them out. I couldn't see them. All of a sudden, the room started getting brighter and brighter with no light source. And we could see things in there very clearly. And then later on during the night, and it stayed like that for most of the investigation. And then later on in that night, he says again through Jesse, "I'm tired." As soon as he said that, the attic went dark again.
This was all around midnight, so it wasn't anything outside. You know?
Yeah, it was crazy. Joe wants to know, would that be possible? Wouldn't Linus have to be closer to where he died?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. My grandmother comes to visit me all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think he would come to visit Jesse.
Yeah, I think so too. Because my grandmother comes to see me, and she died in Massachusetts. And we're in Florida. So I don't know why some feel bound like that little boy to the basement.
Yeah.
But I
Interesting.
know a lot of spirits are not bound to any place, and they're not even earthbound. A lot of spirits just come and go. They're not always here.
But
They're not
sometimes I
always in
wonder
this.
if it's the difference between a spirit um, who comes to visit and a ghost that is earthbound, a ghost that cannot,
Exactly.
has not passed, has not gone to the light.
Right.
So I think that may be the difference.
That's what I think the difference is. When they've passed on and gone to the light, they can then come back. But the ones that are earthbound haven't made that journey yet. Um, oh, Joe says, I wish my grandmother would visit me. I have so many questions.
Right.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandmother's funny. She's a funny bunny. She was with me the day that Jesse's youngest daughter was born. It was really cool that she was there to see that. I think she came there just for that occasion. So, but what else happened?
Well, we had some sessions downstairs. Did we get anything of any subsequence
Robin.
or anything that you can think about or talk about downstairs in the Estes methods that we did?
I just reviewed those again today, and I really didn't pick up on much of anything at that point
Okay.
upstairs.
There's one thing that I experienced when I
Yeah.
was downstairs and I had the headphones. I was doing the Estes method. And it was funny because somebody was just asking me the other day if I had ever been touched. And I was like, not like one time I got flicked, felt like somebody flicked me on the pants, on my knee.
Because you were sitting on his bed, Jesse. That was all your own fault.
That all sounds real weird, but story for
Well,
another day.
it's
But
true.
but so I was sitting on the floor downstairs and I had the headphones on and it felt like somebody, they were noise canceling headphones like this. And it felt like somebody came up and pushed the headphone into my ear, like put
That's
pressure on
right.
it to the point where I like put my hand up because you all will often, if one of us is doing the Estes method, because we can't hear and see you, you'll tap us on the shoulder or do something
Yep.
like that to get our attention. And Kathy was standing to my right. And so I thought maybe she was trying to get my attention or fix something on the headphone or something, you know. And so I put my hand up and I went, oh, there's no one there. And I pulled the blindfold up and looked and they weren't paying attention to me at all. So I was like, okay. And then I think I said to you guys, like, I just had pressure on my ear, like someone pressed on the headphone, you know, physically pushed it into my ear. It was strange. I don't know.
Robin Major said, I don't believe they are bound as we are to the physical and travel in ways we don't understand. I think that's what we were talking about, though, Robin. I don't know if you were listening when Jessie read Stephanie's story, where she used to talk to a little boy who had passed, and he couldn't leave the house. They asked him to go, and he couldn't leave the house, you know, because they wanted to take him with them when they went places, and he couldn't. He was bound to the house. So I think that's what we're talking about. Some are bound, and others are not. Once they've passed on, they don't have to be bound. Marjorie Deering says, shortly after my brother-in-law's death, my sister told me her touch lamp was changing from one setting to another on its own. I told her if it was Jim, she had nothing to worry about. It stopped happening shortly afterward. Oh, for real? Yeah. I
Just
bet
want
that
to
was. Yeah, that's so cool. Marjorie said, I just got on. I'm so sorry I missed that. Yeah, it was a really good story. It was sad, Robin. He had to live in the basement. I
We're
don't
sorry
like
you're
that.
not able to be on with us
Me
tonight.
too. We
Yeah.
miss you.
Oh yeah, we miss you for sure.
Okay, well, we have some pictures to look at too.
Okay.
Why don't we bring those up? And we want to know if there's anybody
Who knows?
that's listening or watching right now that knows anything about photography. Tell us what you think. We're wondering if this is an orb or whether it's lens flare. We've got we got light coming at the camera, so it could be lens flare, but I don't know that much about it myself. So here's a picture that was taken that Les took. And if you see over in the left center, there's a blue dot. It almost looks like an eyeball. And then when we go to the next one, which is only a few seconds later, it's way down in a different position. But if you look at the sky also, the camera is showing the sky being bright white in the second picture, but the first picture is black. So is this a trick of the camera, or is that orb something spiritual? That's what we don't know.
But we should mention a second camera at the this was at the end of our investigation. A second camera owned by one of the other team members took a picture earlier in the evening and got the same orb in her camera.
We also should mention the third picture you took, Les, didn't have any
orb in it.
So,
and you're just taking one after another.
Right. So it could be something that was traveling down that direction.
And then there's this.
This is
our team.
Our team that evening.
It's
about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Dan and you and Les and Beth and Jesse and Kathy and Dawn and myself and Rob. And that's in one of the rooms. And we really wanted to see somebody. Yeah, it's the doctor's office. We really wanted to see somebody in that wheelchair, but nobody showed up. There was talking about being touched in. Oh, wait a minute. We've got a comment, and then I'll tell you because I'm never touched, and I got touched. Joe said those are very interesting pictures. They are really interesting.
I can go back to that. There was something I wanted to mention about that balcony.
Okay, let me bring that up again then, so people will know what you're talking about. I'll use the first one. Okay.
At one point, a child had fallen, or I believe she was actually pushed she was just about 3 years old, and pushed from that balcony to her death.
Oh my.
Yes.
Actually, right where that blue orb is. Wasn't that her room there?
Right. That was her room. Yes. Yep. That's the nursery.
Yep.
So, and there's a door that's from our viewpoint, to the right of that window, that you can get out onto that balcony from. But yes, that is her nursery that is just behind the orb. So I thought that was kind of an interesting place to find something that may or may not be paranormal. It's so hard to tell with photography.
It is hard. I was going to say the light shift with the background, because the camera angle was down more, and so it was darker, trying to focus on closer things in a darker area down lower. And so sometimes your phone will automatically shift, and that might have blown out the sky. So like if you've ever been trying to take a picture of sunset or something like that, right? And you go to take the picture and then it just gets totally blown out because it's focusing on something closer to you that's darker, like in less light. And it'll totally blow out the sky. And then if you refocus your camera later, so it could be that, like our cameras do that. Mm-hmm. I was just looking at my pictures from that night because I did take a picture as well in this kind of the same area, because they had suggested that was a good place to take pictures. Mm-hmm. And I have a picture also, and it does in my photo, to me it looks like a lens flare, and it is a blue orb. But in my picture, it's like kind of up along parallel with the roof line. So I don't know if this will work. I can kind of, you can see my
Yeah.
back.
I can see it.
You see it, right?
Yeah,
Right? Ooh.
that's different though. That does look like a lens flare, but if you look at this picture,
Yeah, can you blow that up?
It
Magnify it?
looks like there's some artifact around the orb itself. So
I mean,
when you,
I
when
really
you-
can't tell what that is, you know?
Dad, if I send you this one, can you pull it up so we could kind of,
Uh, yeah.
if I email it?
questions.
Yeah, you can email it.
Dad's like, yeah. You could email it.
So Robin Major said, agreed, Beth, that is interesting, you know, what you had just been talking about. And then Joe said, are you guys using a phone camera or an actual camera for these shots? Okay, Les was using an actual camera, and Jesse
Was
was
yours
using.
a camera or your phone, Les?
Mine was the phone.
Oh,
phone.
yours was a
That's
phone.
what I thought.
Okay, they were both using a phone then.
Can you see this? If,
Did it go dark?
well,
Do you have it on where we can share it? I mean,
see that?
I can see that. Yeah, what is that?
That's the orb magnified.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is the one that I'm trying to like get it to focus. But
yeah, I
It's
can see
focused,
that,
yeah.
but it looks different than.
it looks
Oh,
similar.
now that looks the
almost looks the
same.
same, identical.
I don't know what that is
So
then.
hard to say.
it's really hard to say with photos, right?
I think we need to try to get back up there and do some more experimenting with
Yes.
Photography.
with photography. We'll try to use a couple different angles, a couple different cameras. We can certainly, I mean, it's not that far for us
They'll be happy to see
in
us
our
again.
free time.
Oh,
How far is it?
Yeah.
It's about an hour
Hour
and a
for
half
an
for
hour and a
us.
Okay.
Yeah, and they told me that night that they're already scheduled through August of next year.
whoa.
Wow.
They opened it up the week before. and
Not
they're-
too, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Not too long ago, Kindred Spirits was there and did a show there.
Right.
So
So
I
they're
think-
busy.
they're busy.
Well, they
Wow.
work with everyone.
It's amazing that there's that many like groups that are paranormal investigators.
Yeah, we waited nearly a year to get in this time.
Mhm.
We
Wow.
did wait a whole year, actually.
Mhm.
It was a year from when we did the
The
train
train
depot.
Train station. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but it is a very busy place.
If it was me, I would put another night or two during the week into the deal. If I'm that busy that quick.
Yeah, true.
Joe says maybe a camera with a strong telephoto lens for real close up of the orb. We had our camera there. We had our real, well, that's how we took the picture of the team, was with our camera. Yeah. One thing that happened to me that night, and I never get touched, like I said, because I have really strong boundaries. I don't want to be touched. And we were in this one room, and I walked in and I told the rest of the team, I said, oh, I really feel a strong presence here. And it was a strong male presence. And then I felt something touch the back of my head, and I even grabbed the back of my head. And but I didn't say anything to anybody. Like, oh, something just touched me. But the docent was standing beside me, and she said, oh, and there's a male spirit in here that likes to touch women on the head, the back of the head.
That's weird.
But I
So
think she's,
specific.
yeah. And I think she
Yeah.
said that because she saw me go like that.
Okay, here's another one. This is Jesse's.
Oops.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Um,
Um, Marjorie was saying, I wonder if some of the spirits in these popular spots enjoy their celebrity status. That's, that's something that we always ask too when we're in spots that we know are investigated frequently. We'll ask, do you like having
And-
visitors?
Barbara Duffy Hennison says, "Hi, family. I'm on my 15 minutes break at work."
Hi.
And then Joe said, "Be glad it's just the head, LOL." Yes, I know. Exactly, Joe. That's my point. It's like, keep your hands to yourself. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know some people who used to be paranormal investigators here in Florida. They were called the Soul Sisters, and one of them and another gal, and I know her, and we've been on podcasts with her and stuff, and I can't remember what her name of her team was, but it was like the Soul. She was also like but she was a single girl on a motorcycle, and she would do the investigating. So she and one of the Soul Sisters bought a prison, a jail in Tennessee.
Northeast Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee.
And
Tennessee.
and so they opened it up as a paranormal investigation spot, and people come all the time. And so we were on a Zoom meeting with them one time, and I said, okay, this has been bothering me for a long time, but I just want to know, how did those entities feel about all of these people coming in and out of there, and expecting them to, perform. And she said they really enjoyed it. They enjoyed the people coming, and they enjoyed everybody talking to them. And if they didn't feel like talking, they wouldn't. And she said there were definitely people that they liked better than others, and some that they didn't like and they wouldn't do anything with. And I should say that too about this is that at one point this man said through Jesse, "We're friends, right? We're like family." And it seemed to be really important to him that we liked him, and that we were friends with him, and they were like family. So that was interesting and a little sad.
Another thing that happened was, because it was a museum, I had a water. I had a very long day. So I had a water in a Chick-fil-A cup. And the docent from the museum asked me to keep it in. She was like, "Can you just keep it in the front entryway?" I was like, "No problem." She's like, "Keep it on the floor there." So I had the water on the floor, and we were investigating up in the attic. But the docents that work there also enjoy investigating and being there. They love it so much. They love the house and feel really happy there, and love all of the things going on there. So they had their own little investigation going on while they were waiting for us, to do ours. And she had a flashlight on a chair near her, and she was just sitting there like reading or something. And all of a sudden she said she heard my straw in my cup. That sound that a straw makes in a cup like that, and it makes that so it made that sound. And she said she like looked up and there's nobody there, and she said, "Did you just try to get a taste of her drink?" And when she said that, the flashlight boop kicked on. And
Well,
I was like, "I'm sorry, it's just water." But
But the question is, did you drink it afterwards?
That was the funniest part too, because thank you for saying that, Joy, because I had picked up my water and I started to take a drink of it, and she goes, "Hey," she told me that as I'm drinking the water, and I was like, "Okay, I don't know if I should drink this or." I think Joe is asking if the water level is going down the cup. I don't know, because it was a white cup, so you couldn't see the water level inside.
Robin Major said that makes her sad too. What I said about him saying we're friends, right? We're like family, right?
Yeah.
He says, was the water going down? This is what your sister says.
I know. That's what I said too. I was like, had the straw in my mouth. She was like, "Hey, this funniest thing happened." I was like, "Oh, do I still drink this or?"
Do ghosts have germs? I mean,
I know.
But if you go to the bar, you drink spirits anyway. So, you know.
Oh, but
Dum-dum. Well, when we were in Gettysburg the last time and we were investigating, we hired a private tour guide from midnight till 3 a.m. so that we could get into places that we couldn't get into, but they could. And she lit a cigarette and put it on the railing of a bridge, and the ghost smoked the cigarette.
wow.
You could see it.
That's
You could
interesting.
see him taking the puff and expelling the puff, and there was nobody there.
that's wild.
And Robin says, "Boo, Rob."
Sorry.
Boo. I think it was more like boo.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Joe says,
pretty
"Wow,
incredible.
that was
I mean, you could see
was
the fire, where it was lit.
Yep.
You could see it actually get brighter, and then went dimmer.
mhm.
With
Like
each puff.
with each puff.
It was like crazy.
It
I've
was.
never seen it. Well, we saw it on one of the shows. The Tennessee Wraith Chasers.
Did that.
Did a show that they had that happen to them. So.
But none of us smoke, so we can't do that with any of our investigations. I suppose we could invest in a pack of cigarettes.
I was gonna say, I mean, we could.
But
Yeah,
then somebody would have
out,
to light it,
yeah,
and
we'd have to take out a loan.
yeah.
First step.
Very sad. Very sad.
So, but
Joe wants to know if you captured it in a recording, like a video of the cigarette.
Oh, the cigarette? No, we didn't. But if we go, we're going to be going there again in June. The team is, and if we do that again, we definitely will. We'll have to see if we can
get the same tour guide.
We'll try and get the same tour guide who was quite enchanted by the fact that we were real paranormal investigators and not just tourists. Called up her friends and said, "I have real paranormal investigators with me tonight. Do you want to come on the tour? We can ask them things." We were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, she was sweet girl." But it was pretty funny. And she did ask us things, and we did have crazy things happen. I mean, crazy.
You know
things.
what? Another thing that happened downstairs was Kathy did the Estes method. Remember?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had to stop because she got super hot. Oh, and that was another thing. So she got very hot, and she kept saying, what was she saying? Fire, flame, blaze.
Yes.
Like that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I said that a few times in the attic, something about.
Yes, and Beth too. When you did the Estes method, you did too. You
Yes.
all said, You all said the same things. You said fire. You said 14.
Freedom.
Freedom.
A lot of freedom.
Faith.
Remember that?
Hope. Mercy. Prayer. God. All of you said all those things.
And there had been a fire there.
And we
I
did
saw
not know that.
a thing on the wall, an article about it even.
Yeah, after we were done, I think we were talking to the docents and explaining what we had experienced, and they were like, "Oh yeah, there was a fire in the attic."
Mhm.
So, and they said there's a part of the attic that is blocked off to guests. And she said, like, if you look, you can see it's still charred.
Yes, scorched. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
interesting.
Marjorie Deering said, just hope the ghost hasn't given up smoking. It wouldn't be for its health.
I mean, like, at that point, like, go to town.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Smoke all you want. You want to drink whiskey? Go ahead. Have the whole bottle. Doesn't matter now. I don't know. And she said to, this is so funny. She said to us, please don't help him to pass on, because we had just helped a Civil War soldier pass on that was there. And we had spent some time with him and we'd helped him pass on. He was really sad. And so she said, don't pass him on. Oh, don't pass him on. My boss will kill me if you pass him on. and so I said to her, he's already passed on. He passed on a long time ago. He comes back and he does this for fun. I said, you don't have to worry. He's not going to give this up for a long time. I think he was a former slave. I think he really liked all these white people coming along,
Enjoyed entertaining us.
watching him smoke cigarettes and stuff. I think he had a ball doing that. Willie, that was his name, Willie.
Mhm.
So she wanted to keep the ghost there. Yes, they're making their money by people doing those ghost tours. So
That's just a little bit selfish, though, isn't that?
It is.
Uh-huh.
this much selfish. When we were at Haunted Hill House, they told us we absolutely could not pass on any ghosts.
Yeah.
Not even the little boy caught in the well.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes you have to sign a waiver saying that you will not cross them over.
Well, what are they going to do? I'd like to see them in court.
Right?
That's a great point.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
Judge Judy should do that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could say, so sue us. And when they did, the judge would go, what? We're like, we don't know what they're talking about.
That would be a tough one to prove.
Tough to prove that they were there and tough to prove that they were no longer there.
Yeah.
It would just be a
Exactly.
nuisance, that's all.
And Robin Major said, agreed, Joy. I think so, though, Joe. I just think it's terrible that anybody would want anybody to be earthbound.
To exploit another spirit
I
or
agree.
person or soul for their financial gain. Yeah.
Especially a child that had been stuffed in a well.
Yeah, you got to wonder how God's going to feel about that.
I don't think he's
When you get up to those pearly gates.
Well, if we had encountered anybody, even at Hill House, that really needed to go, we would have passed them on. Don't worry.
Yeah,
We would have
because
helped them.
you guys were
Yeah.
watching that show, a lot of you, and so you know that when Beth was doing the Estes method, I kept asking him, "Are you okay?
Yeah.
We're worried about you. We're, because I really wouldn't have given a crap. I would have.
Right.
I would
Oh,
have.
I didn't mean you guys, but that's just that whole thing. having you sign a waiver, that is like sounds so it absolutely sounds so ridiculous, because there would absolutely be nothing they could do.
Yeah.
Yes, and the reason that they say that is they know that you can help them cross over, and they're purposely trying to keep them there. Joe said a smoking ghost is good for business, LOL. Yes, it is quite a sideshow. And let me tell you, Joe, Willie is having a good time doing that too. He's like, look at these fools. Yeah, it's such a, he's not going anywhere for a long time. But yeah, we crossed over the other guy. I mean, he was really sad. Really, really sad guy. So, and we didn't care. Yeah, he's not staying any longer. He's suffered enough. He was feeling guilty about everything he'd done.
Well, now it's been almost an hour and we haven't talked about our main subject, which is nature spirits. So do we want to bring that up on our next session? Maybe
Yeah.
at the end of December?
Has it been an hour already?
Almost, yeah. 5:10.
Oops.
December 28th is the last Thursday of December. So,
Everybody good with doing another podcast then?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
maybe Robin will be able to join us. That'd be nice.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, what is the day?
December 28th.
Okay.
It's in between Christmas and New Year's.
Robin says LOL.
Maybe flying back from Houston though. So
Robin said she'll be there.
Well,
so
Joy,
I
you
may not be
can
able to make it.
you can join us on your phone in the air.
There we go.
That's not too much. That's not too much to ask, is it?
I'm sure the pilot would be thrilled.
We may be back by then though.
Live from outer space.
I'll look. Well, y'all had one from was it Houston or Galveston? Houston? Your podcast?
Oh,
We were.
you were in Galveston, right?
No,
You
we,
go.
We were in.
we did one podcast for Meet the Author from Galveston.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we did Haunted Hill House from
Mineral Wells.
Mineral Wells.
Yeah.
Right.
Beth, did you pick up anything else at the house while we were there? Besides the little girl being, pushed.
I picked up on the hanging in the little room outside of the attic.
Yeah.
And just the little girl, I think she was pushed by a stepsister, an older stepsister.
Yeah, Beth said, I feel really sad. And she had said that a couple of times when we were up there in what they called the gallery. And
That's what they call
then
it, yeah.
she said, did someone hang themselves up here? And they said, yep, that's how he died. So Joe says, looking forward to it. What about talking Christmas spirits? Is there anything to that would be interesting? I don't know. Like Scrooge?
The Ghost of Christmas Past.
Well, there.
I've already watched that this year.
What, Jesse?
I know that in Norway they have tons of lore around Christmas and different elves and fairy and sprites and things like that are linked to you know, Christmas.
Yes.
All right with the other theme.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. In Norway, they do. They do believe, and they believe in all that to this day. It's not like
A lot of the Scandinavian cultures do. They even put out, bowls of yogurt for certain ones. You're supposed to put out a bowl of yogurt, and it's a lot of fun things like that. But yeah, I mean, we could definitely do that too.
And the Irish still believe in all the elementals in a big way.
Well, I will tell you that in trying to research nature spirits was wild. And I said to Adam tonight, okay, so I had to look up Gaelic Irish pronunciations, which are by far the weirdest.
Yeah.
An indigenous tribe in South America, African. It's globally. There are these things, and sneak peek or whatever, but I found it super interesting that a lot of the lore or legend around it, Greek, I had to look up Greek pronunciations, that the lore is often the same, as far as what they did about them and what they felt like you needed to do to honor and respect these spirits, and what they were linked to. And I thought that was so interesting because
That
across
is.
cultural, different time periods, all different languages, it was pretty cool, like, to see that. So
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
yeah,
Real.
yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when I was meditating that one time and then I saw that, the shaman, and it was at the beginning of COVID. Do you guys remember that?
Mhm.
And there were the two big, they looked like, they weren't dogs, but they looked like dogs and they were huge and they were on either side of me. And I felt really protected. I felt like they were there to protect me and help me not cross over before my time. Because I may be a little bit impetuous with things being open and like, let's go in and see what that is.
And I was on the other end of the couch, so I was happy too that you didn't make it.
And I was recently told that they are, they, I, that they're not my spirit guides or anything like that. They're actually guards that have been assigned to me and go with me everywhere. Spirit guards. I've never heard of them before. But they were there he said, that's why you felt protected. He said, think of Egyptian gods like Janus and different things like that, and the ones that appear in, dog canine form. And he said, that's what they are. There's two of them. I was like, okay. So watch out, because I've got these two ginormous dogs on either side. Marjorie said, that must be reassuring knowing they're watching out for you. Yeah, Marjorie, it may be why I haven't been touched a whole lot. Joe said, do we all have some kind of spirit guards? I don't know. I'd never heard of them before.
Spirit guides, yes. Spirit guards,
I don't know.
maybe.
But that's the second psychic that's told me that.
And
Same
is a
thing.
spirit guard the same as a guardian angel?
I don't know.
What people have interpreted as a guardian angel anyway?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be.
But that was two different people who don't know each other and don't know that the other one had already told them that. But yeah. Robin Major said, yeah, this time the dogs were out of break.
Maybe they were chasing a cat.
When I got touched on that.
Yeah, that could be.
They were chasing the cat.
Or they were with Willie in Gettysburg smoking the cigarette.
Smoking break.
Big thanks to Stephanie too for letting us share your story and talk about it. It was really cool.
It's a great story. Thank you, Stephanie.
So cool. We loved hearing it. And
it was a great story.
I've got another story to share for next month that someone has shared with us and would like us to share. So we'll be doing that next month also. And if you have a story to share, we would love to share your story too.
Yes.
So
here's where you can send those stories, actually. lesgreed28@aol.com. Les will be happy to grab them and move them forward. Or Kristen at Krinish2@gmail.com.
KREINISCH2@gmail.com. It's very catchy, very easy to
Very easy to spell.
Yeah.
I gotta know how to spell first, I guess.
Just take a picture of the screen.
Right.
You got it.
There you go.
We'll snip it.
So watching on the Facebook Facebook group page. If you want to make comments, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at streamyard.com/Facebook or include your name.
Now.
Well, just for future use. We have one more comment here. Oh, Stephanie says, of course, anytime.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Stephanie.
Oh, you got more? That's great.
Yeah, if you have more, feel free to. You got my number.
Yes.
There you go.
And anybody else listening or
Sure.
watching this show at a later time or even listening to it at a later time, if you have any, go ahead and email us at the email we just gave you. And we would really like to hear your stories and hear what you have to say. But please email us first. We did have on the last show, we had somebody who wanted us to bring them on the show right then and there. And we didn't feel comfortable doing that. So, we just would rather we'd rather meet you first.
Yeah.
One thing I'm just going to say, because since I'm not part of their investigative team, but I think that there are a lot of people out there that have had things happen, and family members or other people don't believe it, and I think that there are people that are reticent to believe stuff, and and as you said earlier, kind of they want to turn a blind eye to it. And and that's one reason that I have really been drawn to this group, is because I've had a lot of things that have happened that I couldn't really talk to anybody about, and you can get those questions asked anonymously that nobody will know. And then you've got people here that have dealt with the paranormal for, you guys have been investigating for what 25, 30 years. And that is rare to have that access to people that have, not that you guys have all the answers, because nobody does, but at least it allows somebody to hear what your story is, and you don't feel like you're all alone, and that strange things happen to you, because you can find out, oh yeah, that's happened to other people too. And whether you believe how it happened, I think this is what it's about, is that nobody here is saying, oh, I've got all the answers. It's like, these are things I've thought about, that, and through experience, we're thinking this is maybe what that is, and kind of helps you compartmentalize some things, and not feel like I said, like you're alone. And even if it's only one thing that happened that's really bothered you, that I think this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Plus, it's fun to talk about, about things that have happened, and share them, and get ideas. I mean, there's some, levity. It's not, everybody's not serious and to the point where anybody's offended if you have a different opinion or anything. And I think that very relaxed atmosphere is what makes this a really good group.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And really, I think that's so important, Joy. Robin Madrich said, well said, Joy. And that's the truth, because I think a lot of people have had a lot of things happen. And for many, many years, everybody's been told, oh, you're a real woo-woo, you're crazy and stuff like that. And you don't, so it feels really bad to keep all that stuff in and not be able to share it and talk to anybody about it,
Right.
And I'm just really glad that people can do that here. I think it's healthier to get all that stuff out. And plus, it's not scary.
Right.
Once you know what you're dealing with and stuff. I'm not to say that we don't get startled when something happens. I mean, I remember Beth and Les and Rob and I were investigating in this huge empty hospital, and a door that could neither open nor close slammed right beside us. That was weird. When we all jumped.
Definitely started.
Everybody would jump when a door slammed right next to them.
Yeah.
You know?
When everything else is totally quiet. You know.
And you remember that no one's supposed to be there except you.
Right.
It is
But those are things also that make it interesting because there's this big unknown, and
Yeah.
and the more you guys do that, the more that you learn, uh, and I think it's just totally fascinating.
I don't know about anyone else, but one of the reasons why I do this is because I want to help the living and the dead. I want to help both of them. I feel for the living and the dead. Okay. And then I want to know, I want to understand things. And I, the more that the spirits will talk to us, the more we can understand what the heck is going on. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I want to know, right? And why can some of us see it and some of us can't? I really, really think we all can. I really think that a lot of us are just really shut down.
Yeah. But there's always different things happening too.
Oh my gosh, we're always
coming
finding across new
things.
things. It's like
that's not supposed to happen.
the room getting bright. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the heck is this now?
All the lights on the ground at the
Oh, that
hanging
was
tree,
in
that was-
Gaithersburg. I mean,
No,
Gettysburg,
Gettysburg, yeah.
too, was when we saw all
at
those
the hanging tree.
sparkling lights all over the place. I really felt like that was the spirits thanking us because
We had that when we were there too, early in the evening.
cool.
Turned out to be fireflies though.
Oh, ours weren't fireflies.
No, ours weren't fireflies.
Yeah, they were lights going on and off, but they were
No,
only
these were thousands of sparkling little
All
lights.
around the ground.
yeah.
We tried to figure it out if it was bioluminescence. It wasn't. Fireflies again, and it wasn't. And Joe says, Joe, I would like to hear more about your time investigating the demon stuff.
Uh-oh.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that'd be really an interesting subject too.
Great.
But I think that that's probably one thing some people are afraid of too, is because, some of these paranormal investigation things, it's like there's a demon everywhere. Don't touch me. Oh my God. I think I need to go to the hospital because somebody knocked me down or, I mean, some really wild
Actually,
stuff.
without mentioning any names, okay, but we all know who you're talking about. And the docent at the place where we just investigated, they asked to go there, and she said, no.
No, you
cannot come.
That's right.
So good for her.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, he's always getting possessed. I've never been possessed.
No.
Have you ever been possessed? No. How about you, Jesse? Because you grew up with all this crap going on.
No.
Yeah. So no. But yeah, we have seen weird stuff. I mean, that is weird. I'll tell you what. It's like not my favorite thing to do.
I'm sure that would be uncomfortable.
And it takes a
knowing
toll
that
on
it's-
your body physically.
It does.
It does.
Knowing you're around something evil. So I don't know that if I were you, I'd even want to bring it back up if it was bad memories. But I mean, it certainly would be interesting to, to deal with. But I wouldn't want to be that. I wouldn't want to be doing that. I'd be a little afraid of it.
I'm okay talking about it.
Yeah.
But I do think that's why, besides the two big guard dogs, I think that's why I have strong boundaries and I'm
Yeah.
usually not touched or anything. Robin Madrid said, oh, he's possessed, all right. He sure is.
Mr. X.
This is what the docent said, and I quote, I was not going to have those 7-foot galoops running through this place.
Those three.
Those 3 7-foot galoops running through this place. And I
Well, there's
don't
a
blame
museum
her.
with a lot of delicate stuff. So.
A lot of antiques.
Beth, were you going to say something? I feel like you were going to say something about when we were talking about people getting to share and share their stories and having experiences and stuff.
Well, I think all I was going to say is that when we do a private investigation, more often than not, people say, thank you. I thought I was crazy.
Mhm.
We're
I can
giving
see
them
that.
that kind of peace of mind. And I love that part of what we do.
I
It
do
really
too.
is helpful to them.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And in some of the investigations that we've been on where we've been able to bring connection between family members
Yes.
Yes.
is
Like a
Well,
date.
the thing that I'm impressed with is you've been doing it all this time, and you haven't like exploited all these things all these years. There's something that it's something that you're doing because you find it interesting and important, and and it expands your knowledge, and you're not benefiting from it by by for all this time that you've done it at your own like your own expense, and
yep.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not something that which makes the motive pure to me, that it hasn't been something that you're trying to get attention and say, look how cool I am because I can communicate with or something.
I don't think most
I
people
mean-
think it's cool. Most people think it's great. Those people
We
are.
are very cool.
But yeah.
Look at how nutty those people are.
Now that may be the case, that people may be saying that right now
Maybe.
about all of us, but
Yeah,
There's some
yeah.
truth to that too.
Yeah.
But I do think
but I don't
that
care.
you're
I'm
right.
too old to care.
That's right. I do think you're right, though, Joy, that a lot of people do experience things, and this happens to all of us too. When something happens, you always try to figure out if it was something normal,
Right.
not paranormal.
Yes.
I
Right.
mean, your first thought is, okay, that just happened. How did that happen? Was the wind
Right.
blowing? Did this happen? Did
We
that
always
happen?
try to debunk first.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think
big
that's
time.
that's part of a normal reaction too, is to
Right.
try and find a normal reason for it. Your brain goes, that isn't happening.
Right. Am I hallucinating or something?
It's like I hear
Or
people,
is there someone in my house, right?
or is there
Right.
some? Yeah, that would be important to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I was just going to say, I hear voices a lot, and Rob and I have talked about this a lot, because there is such a thing as auditory hallucinations where people are, needing mental health
Right.
help. So I don't always tell people when I'm hearing people talking. Yeah, I mean, even today, and I remember one time that I heard something so clearly, and I did not say anything to him, but I'm looking for, okay, is my phone on? Did this happen? And I'm just sitting there and trying to figure it out. And then he said, did you hear that? And said the same thing that I just heard. And that was great to get that kind of
Right.
validation, that he heard it too. Because lots of
Yeah.
times nobody else hears it. So I get tired of saying, did you just hear that? And everybody's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm just cuckoo. But that's how you feel. So that, I mean,
Yeah.
and we've been doing this for a long time, and I still feel that way. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's nice to be validated when somebody else can confirm it.
yes, it's kind of like, thank God. Yeah, I know that Beth and I, a lot on investigations, are like, did you feel that too? And we feel the same things. And it's like, I'm not the only one feeling that. I'm not the only one that's seeing it get brighter in here. Joe says, it's hard sometimes to distinguish what I might be actually seeing or experiencing versus what my brain is telling me is happening.
Yeah. We were just talking about this the other day. Mom and Dad and I were just talking about this, I don't know, at breakfast the other day or something. But especially with things that are on photo or video, and they can look so strange on camera, right? Especially if it's like an IR camera or a night vision camera. And one time, Dad sent me a text message, and he was like, "What do you think this is?"
He sent
was
it
on
to
our-
everyone. Let me say,
Yeah.
he sent it to all of our kids and kids-in-law and everybody. Yeah.
And but individually, not in
Yeah.
our group
Yeah,
family chat.
individually, not on our
And he
family.
was like, "What do you think this is?" It was on our camera last night, and it looked great on the Ring camera, you know, the doorbell camera, and it looked wild. And so coming from my dad, who I'm like, okay, they're not gonna like fake something and tell me, right? And so I was like, wait, what is that? That's weird, you know? And because if you ask mom and dad, I would say I'm like very, very skeptical whenever somebody shows me a picture or a video or something. I'm like, I don't know, you know.
Mhm.
But because of what Joe's saying, you know, sometimes your brain is looking for the pattern or looking for the thing, right? And as it turns out, it was how the video captured my mom walking the dog past the camera
I was
in the
the
middle of
weird,
the night.
strange thing.
She was the weird,
You were
crazy
see-through,
looking
too.
thing.
Thing.
And it was just the way it was a trick of the camera, right? And he
Because
was
it's an
doing
IR
it
camera.
to be funny, but I was like, oh, how interesting, because especially considering the source that it's coming from. So with a lot of the paranormal shows and stuff, like they can be fun. I'm always like, in the end, it is a TV show. And there are some that investigators on those shows that I trust more than others, just because I've personally chosen to based on seeing how they've
Right.
conducted themselves through the years, right? But
And we've investigated with some of them too.
yes, but at the end of the day, it is still a TV show, and it's so
Yes.
easy to manipulate that stuff. And when
It
you
is the
Right.
way they're making their living.
yes, and when you do have a trust in a person like that, like, and that person presents something and says, "Oh, this is a weird thing." It is easy to go, "That is a weird thing. What is it?" You know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree, Joe. It is very hard sometimes to distinguish, and it's really nice to have a place to talk about it and share those things and
Well,
talk it out.
I think one of the things that he's talking about is trying to decide whether it's pareidoia or if he's actually seeing it. So
Yeah.
that's like if you if you see something in a window and it looks like a face, is that really a face, or is it shadows, or is it
Right.
you know, like up north, is it frost or something like that? Or if you're walking down the street early in the morning or late in the evening, and I mean, you'll see a tree or a mailbox or something like that, and it'll look like a person. Your brain is used to finding people. And so, you
Right.
know,
Like
you're wondering.
Matrixes.
Mhm, yes. It's matrixing is another way of saying it. But, you know, so sometimes, Joe, I get what you're saying is um, like if you're seeing shadow people, which, you know, sometimes we do see shadow people. So then you're like, okay, am I really seeing a shadow person, or is it just a shadow? And my brain is now thinking that I'm seeing a shadow person, or because this is what I do all the time. Am I reading something into it that it is? And it's like,
It's hard.
it's a constant thing of measures, you know, of trying to figure out what's going on. And I know that we all are careful about that. We don't want to, like the pictures that we showed you earlier with that. We want to know, what is that? We don't want to say that it's something that it isn't. We want to know what it is, you know.
But you're challenging it, and that's the thing, to make sure that you're not reading something into it. And
Mhm.
a lot of people wouldn't. They'd just say, this is
Oh,
what this is.
oh, I'm telling you right now that we've seen some of those shows where they show anomalies on the SLS camera, and we darn well darn well that those are not anomalies. Yes, that kind of thing. But to clarify, I'm not seeing Jesus in my toaster or anything.
I was
I
kinda
would really be
specific.
interested if you were seeing Jesus in your
Yeah.
toast. That would be fun.
That would be soul,
Hey.
soul food.
Yeah.
Nobody said you were. So somebody is protesting too much.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying is I will see shadow figures and I really have to see, okay, did I just see that? Or is that just my head seeing things? But I do see that. I am seeing that. So if you have do you have something happening in a closet in your house?
Who?
Joe. Because I think that if you do that, it's real. Sorry, I just had one of those flashes in my head. That'll be interesting. I think that there is something that you're seeing.
Also, 30 minutes ago, we were like, well, let's wrap it up. And
Really?
It's
Okay.
30 minutes. And I just want to let everyone know, if you were wondering, that is what it is like to talk when Mom and I are talking to each other on the phone as well.
Welcome to my world.
or Jesse and I live in each other's brains sometimes. Robin matrices, LOL. Yes, we do. We do the mind thing, and then sometimes we're so used to it. Okay. Joe says, "How weird you asked that. In the house I grew up in, we think we've seen my dad in a closet." Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, if you think that you've seen, something like that, then I think you're probably seeing that. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm getting.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because I think that you are seeing what you think you're seeing. And I was just going to say to you, if it was a family member, well, that makes sense.
That does.
And
make
he
sense.
says, and it's a closet he built during a remodel. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That's comforting though. I see my grandmother a lot. I don't see her, literally see her, physically see her. I feel her. And it's not all the time, but I can always tell when she's near. And it's always good. It's never a bad thing. She doesn't come with bad news or omens or anything. It's just a comforting thing, Marjorie Deering said, maybe it's time for him to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't help myself. But
Maybe that's a good time to wrap this up.
yeah.
when we're all getting tired and silly. But
Slap your
Yeah.
feet.
honestly, Joe, if you do think you're seeing things, you probably are, and it's not a bad thing. And Joe said, haha, good one. So, but that's cool. Maybe it's somebody in your family who's just checking in on you, making sure everything's okay. My grandmother does that a lot. And I think she visits a lot of my family members too. not just our house, but to a lot of the houses. And I do, my other grandmother, she's one that always comes when something not so great is happening. So she's the one you don't want to see. It's always like, uh-oh, what's going to happen?
Well, the good thing is that they don't eat much when they come to visit.
the dad joke. I love it.
Okay.
Well, I think we
We
probably
really
should
should
wrap
close.
this up and thank everybody for joining us tonight.
Mhm.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you guys, Joy, Les, and Beth, Jess. Thanks
Yeah,
for showing
Thanks
up.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing all that research, Jesse. And I think it'll be really great that see, he
Oh.
also pops up in your dreams a lot. That I can tell you right now, he's talking to you in those dreams.
Right.
That's not just your, a piece of bad potato or whatever it was that was in Scrooge. It's definitely it's the way family members talk to you is in dreams.
Yeah.
Rob's dad comes to him all the time in dreams too.
Yeah.
I don't remember my dreams, so they have to come and see me in person. It's like, hello. Underdone potato.
Well,
Yes, that's
good-
what he said. An
that's a
underdone potato. That
Good
was
comment to end on, I think.
yes. An underdone potato.
So we will see everyone December 28th
And we
after
will-
Christmas.
we will
Happy
have-
holidays.
We
to
will have
everybody.
Christmas spirits because
We
we'll
will.
be talking about
Right.
all the different spirits from the Scandinavian
Right.
countries and stuff. I want to see how this all ties in together, Jess. All
Yeah, the nature spirit and
Mhm.
Christmas spirit.
No
and-
pressure or anything. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Oh,
that
and
was-
let me tell you, the grandmother who comes to see me all the time used to talk to me about the banshee. She was Irish. Used to talk to me about banshees and leprechauns and fairies, and believe me, they're not good stories. And she would say to me that everyone in the neighborhood knew when somebody was going to die because they would hear on their bedroom wall, and then they'd know a family member was going to die. So
my God.
I grew up being terrified.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that because something was banging on my wall the other night. I mean,
Oh no.
I counted for
Oh,
like,
no.
I don't know, like there was like about 75 just knocks. But
Wow.
and I'm like, and it was just like the same tone. And I first thought maybe it's pipe,
Mhm.
but nobody had taken a shower, or anything. So I'm like, what is it? And I don't know what, and then it just stopped.
Well, I don't think that door knocking, I don't think knocking means somebody's going to die. I really don't. That was just my grandmother.
Okay.
It did make me
Well, that
feel
makes me
like-
feel better. But I'm like, what is that? I mean, it wasn't like a pounding. It was just like a knock, like just a consistent.
Well, we can actually tell you what that is if it's spirit. It's just spirit wanting you to acknowledge that they're there.
Okay. I was starting to do a little research on those. I was starting on with the American, the native, American Native and indigenous
Mhm.
people, and I was getting into some really cool stuff. I knew you were gonna, so I might have an intelligent thing to say if you were talking about it.
Yay. I love that. Please bring it next time too.
Okay.
So do you think it was an indigenous spirit? Because I think that you have indigenous spirit.
Oh no, I don't think that's what it was. No, I was just doing that today, but no, it was actually, that was last night that knocking was, and I was like, when is it, because it's happened before, and my husband and I I woke my husband up and I'm like, what is it? And he's like, I don't know. And we're sitting there and I'm like, okay, it just keeps going on. And he's kind of put his hands or his ear on the wall and walked around, and we couldn't figure it out. And he said, I'm going to bed. And then it finally stops, but it's happened a few times. So
Yeah.
weird.
So
Strange.
if it happens again, just say, is there anyone here that wants to communicate with us? And if you do,
I would probably freak out because he's asleep and I'm awake. But yeah,
would
that's a
freak
good
me.
idea.
And then just you can communicate with like 1 knock for yes and 2 knocks for no. And it might just be somebody that wants you to know that they're there.
They're there.
Or
Yeah.
if not, then you're like, okay, then maybe it's not anything there and it's something going
And-
on. And like you said, your pipes or
Right. Or something. And that's what I was thinking, that
House.
pressure, because it eventually will stop, you know.
Mhm.
So it may be something completely
In your plumbing.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Temperatures go down at night and everything.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
things, yeah.
Something completely benign that was just mechanical or something. You know.
Exactly. And then if you find out that it isn't spirit, then you know that's what it is and you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it is spirit, it's nothing to worry about either. You know, it's not demonic. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
So there's nothing to worry about.
Right. All right.
Well, you guys all have a wonderful Christmas.
You
Everyone,
too.
yeah.
That's what everybody, Robin has said that in the
Chat.
comments and stuff.
And
So
Joe. Okay. So
All
I guess
righty.
until next time.
that's all, folks.
Bye bye.